Welcome to Truman's Town Hall with your host, Matt Truman.
Hello, I am Matt Truman. Thank you for watching this video, whether it be now, whether it be in 5 minutes or 8 days from now. Thanks for watching. Got a couple of news stories to share with everybody tonight. This is the 11 March 2023 news update. There's a lot going on, folks. We're going to get into some news about the recent hearing that was held a couple days ago on the weaponization of federal government. We're going to talk about what is number one on the iTunes chart. We're going to talk about that SVB bank collapse. We're going to talk about Ukraine and Russia, something from Glenn Greenwald, and then we're going to end with a couple of interesting articles and a video that I found. They're entertaining, and I'm going to leave those for last. So without further ado, let's start with this. As soon as I can pop it up here. No, not Cocaine Cat. What? Cocaine Cat? What are you talking about? Here it is. House Committee on Judiciary. Let's start this video. This is Matt Taibbi's opening statement at the hearing on the weaponization of the federal government.
I thank the gentleman for his opening statement. Mr. Taibbi, you're now recognized for 5 minutes.
Chairman,
Mr. Taibbi, hit that.
Chairman Jordan, Ranking Member Plaskett, members of the Select Committee, thank you for having me today. My name is Matt Taibbi. I've been a reporter for 30 years and a staunch advocate of the First Amendment. Much of that time was spent at Rolling Stone magazine. Ranking Member Plaskett, I'm not a so-called journalist. I've won the National Magazine Award, the I.F. Stone Award for Independent Journalism, and I've written 10 books, including 4 New York Times bestsellers.
I'm not a so-called journalist.
I'm now the editor of the online magazine Racket on the independent platform Substack. I'm here today because of a series of events that began late last year when I received a note from a source online. It read, "Are you interested in doing a deep dive into what censorship and manipulation was going on at Twitter?" A week later, the first of what became known as the Twitter Files reports came out. To say these attracted intense public interest would be an understatement. My computer looked like a Vegas slot machine as just the first tweet about the blockage of the Hunter Biden laptop story registered 143 million impressions and 30 million engagements. But it wasn't until a week after the first report, after Michael Schellenberger, Barry Weiss, and other researchers joined the search of the files, that we started to grasp the significance of this story. The original promise of the internet was that it might democratize the exchange of information globally. A free internet would overwhelm all attempts to control information flow, its very existence a threat to anti-democratic forms of government everywhere. What we found in the files was a sweeping effort to reverse that promise and use machine learning and other tools to turn the internet into an instrument of censorship and social control. Unfortunately, our own government appears to be playing a lead role. We saw the first hints in communications between Twitter executives before the 2020 election, when we read things like "flagged by DHS" or "please see attached report from FBI for potential misinformation." This would be attached to an Excel spreadsheet with a long list of names whose accounts were often suspended shortly after. Again, Ranking Member Plaskett, I would note that the evidence of Twitter government relationship includes lists of tens of thousands of names on both the left and right. The people affected include Trump supporters, but also left-leaning sites like Consortium and Truthout, the leftist South American channel Telesur, the Yellow Vest movement. That, in fact, is a key point of the Twitter files, that it's neither a left nor right issue. Following the trail of communications between Twitter and the federal government across tens of thousands of emails led to a series of revelations. Mr. Chairman, we summarized and submitted them to the committee in the form of a new Twitter Files thread, which was also released to the public this morning. We learned Twitter, Facebook, Google, and other companies developed a formal system for taking in moderation requests from every corner of government, from the FBI, the DHS, the HHS, DOD, the Global Engagement Center at State, even the CIA. For every government agency scanning Twitter, there were perhaps 20 quasi-private entities doing the same thing, including Stanford's Election Integrity Partnership, NewsGuard, the Global Disinformation Index, and many others, many taxpayer funded. A focus of this fast-growing network, as Mike noted, is making lists of people whose opinions, beliefs, associations, or sympathies are deemed misinformation, disinformation, or malinformation. That last term is just a euphemism for true but inconvenient. Undeniably, the making of such lists is a form of digital McCarthyism. Ordinary Americans are not just being reported to Twitter for de-amplification or deplatforming, but to firms like PayPal, digital advertisers like Xandr, and crowdfunding sites like GoFundMe. These companies can and do refuse service to law-abiding people and businesses whose only crime is falling afoul of a distant, faceless, unaccountable, algorithmic judge. As someone who grew up a traditional ACLU liberal, this mechanism for punishment and deprivation without due process is horrifying. Another troubling aspect is the role of the press, which should be the people's last line of defense in such cases. But instead of investigating these groups, journalists partnered with them. If Twitter declined to remove an account right away, government agencies and NGOs would call reporters for the New York Times, Washington Post, and other outlets, who in turn would call Twitter demanding to know why action had not yet been taken. Effectively, news media became an arm of a state-sponsored thought policing system. I'm running out of time, so I'll just sum up and say, it's just not possible to instantly arrive at truth. It is, however, possible, becoming technologically possible to instantly define and enforce a political consensus online, which I believe is what we're looking at. This is a grave threat to people of all political persuasions. The First Amendment and an American population accustomed to the right to speak is the best defense left against the censorship industrial complex. If the latter can knock over our first and most important constitutional guarantee, these groups will have no serious opponent left anywhere. If there's anything the Twitter files show, it's that we're in danger of losing this most precious right, without which all democratic rights are impossible. Thank you for the opportunity to appear, and I'd be happy to answer any questions from the committee.
All right. There it was. That was independent journalist, former Rolling Stone journalist, Matt Taibbi. He is not a right-winger. No. But he is a journalist. I think, I don't care what side of the aisle you sit on, as long as you're giving us, the American people, the true story, maybe from your perspective, whatever, that's fine, but you're giving us the story and not just a whole boatload of opinion in order to sway our way of thinking over to your side. I think that is excellent. All right. Let's go to this. I want to show you guys something, because did you know that iTunes has a new song at the top of the list? Number 1 iTunes chart. Let me bring it up. January 6, Prison Choir's Justice for All single featuring Donald Trump. I don't know if I can play it. Let's see. Whoa. A new single, Justice for All, featuring former President Donald Trump from the J6 Prison Choir, reached number 1 on iTunes top songs on March 11th. That's today. That's today. I wonder if Yahoo Finance didn't post the song. Oh, bummer. Well, folks, that's okay. That's okay. Let's see here. Let's take that off. Let's go to the next story. So that's just interesting. There's a lot of folks buying that song on iTunes. It reached number 1. Number 1. wow, there's a lot of support out there, folks, for those guys. I send my prayers to anyone locked up that shouldn't be locked up. It's ridiculous. All right, let's see here. This next article is about the SVB Bank. I don't know if you've heard about it. From wine country to London, bank's failure shakes worldwide. New York AP. It was called Silicon Valley Bank, but its collapse is causing shockwaves around the world. From winemakers in California to startups across the Atlantic Ocean, companies are scrambling to figure out how to manage their finances after their bank suddenly shut down Friday. The meltdown means distress not only for businesses, but also for all their workers whose paychecks may get tied up in the chaos. California Governor Gavin Newsom, who's probably going to be running for president soon. And if you have not heard, I should have brought it up. If you have not heard Adam Carolla interviewing Gavin Newsom, look it up, Google it, look it up on YouTube. Adam Carolla interviewing Gavin Newsom. He is a lightweight. Oh, he's got the slick back hair. He's tall. He's handsome. He's a perfect politician, but he's dumber than a box of rocks. Anyway, and listen to Adam Carolla, a guy who grew up in West Hollywood, right? A poor boy in West Hollywood. Made it big with Jimmy Kimmel, right? I know some people say stuff about Jimmy Kimmel. That's fine. He's a comedian, and he ate Newsom's lunch. You need to look it up. It's hilarious. So Newsom said Saturday that he's talking with the White House to help stabilize the situation as quickly as possible to protect jobs, people's livelihood. Whatever. We'll see. We'll see about that. Bank collapse. I read another article the other day saying that we're just days away from an entire collapse of the financial system. What do you think? Is it true? I don't know. I hope not. I really do. But folks, the Fed is talking about raising interest rates higher than what they've told us, like 5.75%. That is nuts. It's nuts. And that's what we have to look forward to nowadays. All right, next up. Let's see here. Try to get through it. New intelligence points to pro-Ukraine group and Nord Stream attack. New York Times. Washington, March 7th. German media reported that the alleged perpetrators of the attacks used a yacht hired by a Poland-based company. New intelligence. I'm sorry. They used a yacht. Okay, I apologize for laughing. New intelligence reviewed by U.S. officials suggests that a pro-Ukrainian group, likely comprised of Ukrainians or Russians, Russia, right? Attacked the Nord Stream gas pipelines in September, but there are no firm conclusions, the New York Times reported on Tuesday. Yeah, no firm. We yachted out there, right? We had the bar stocked, we had food, we had a chef, we were playing music, boom, 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 boom. And then we dove down, like, I don't know, 5 miles into the ocean where only military submarines, where the experts said that only the United States or Russia or a country with similar capabilities could have gotten down that far and blew it up. Seymour Hersh wrote a different article, but gotta put something out like this so that folks say, maybe it wasn't them. Anywho, all right. Tulsi Gabbard was on Tucker and had something to say about it. Let's see what that is. Gonna bring it. Oh, it's on this website called InfoWars. Have you ever heard of that one?
Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, the despot who runs Ukraine, was on CNN last night, and he said he expects the Biden administration to give him F-16 soon.
We don't have the fighter jets to deal with it, and to counteract the Russian hits, and we really need this, and really appeal to the president that they could start training Ukrainian pilots. And President Biden told me that it will be worked upon, and I believe that United States will give us the opportunity to defend our skies.
Haven't they been telling us for over a year that Russia's about to be defeated? Then why are we sending an ever-increasing amount of money and material to Ukraine? Could they be lying to us? And speaking of lying to us, remember they told us that Russia blew up its own pipeline? The New York Times told us, everyone told us that. Shut up, Putin defender, the Russians did it. Well, now they're admitting the Russians didn't do it, but we didn't do it either. Something called a pro-Ukrainian group blew up the Nord Stream pipeline and created the largest environmental disaster in human history, and also shafted our NATO allies in Western Europe, a pro-Ukrainian group. Okay. Tulsi Gabbard served in the Congress, ran for president. She joins us tonight. Congresswoman, thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks,
so this is a pro-Ukrainian group that has the military prowess to blow up one of the world's most important pipelines, but the Biden administration had nothing to do with it. Is that the new lie that they're telling us?
Apparently so. It is so obvious at this point, Tucker, that the United States and NATO are responsible for this act of sabotage and act of war, attacking and destroying this Nord Stream pipeline. They've been lying to us all along about it. Now they've been busted. And so they're trying to sell us this absurd cover-up story where on the one hand, they're telling us, well, we have this new intelligence that shows us no Americans or Brits were involved in this attack. But then at the same time, we can't draw any conclusions from the intelligence on who actually did it because we don't have specific details on each of the members of this so-called pro-Ukrainian group. Like it's insanity for anybody who's paying attention to what they're saying. The reality is that they are responsible for this, and there are short-term and long-term serious implications for this action. It sets this precedent, Tucker, for countries like Russia, North Korea, Iran, and China to go ahead and launch these attacks and sabotage against critical infrastructure against other countries like gas pipelines, undersea cables, financial systems, satellites. The list goes on and on. Just imagine the kind of problems, to say the least, that would cause for us, the American people, and for the world.
Well, can I just ask a super dumb question? No one's ever answered it. So this pipeline fed Germany, which is the economic engine of Europe. Germany is the key player in NATO. We're all for NATO. We just wrecked the economy of our key NATO ally. If Germany blew up the Hoover Dam, would they still be our tight NATO ally? Like, doesn't NATO have to disintegrate after we get caught doing this?
Yeah, that's the thing here. I think a couple of points is the Biden administration, NATO want us to believe that they want us to believe this cover-up story, first of all, which their cover-up story implies that the United States and NATO's military and intelligence agencies are so inept and incapable that nobody knows what was going on. Nobody saw this coming. But secondly, you're exactly right. This was an act of war, not just against Russia, but also against our ally, Germany. Yeah. Also, an act of war can only be declared by Congress, not by the President of the United States or anybody else. That clearly didn't happen. And that's where Biden needs to address the nation, tell us the whole truth about what went down, and Congress needs to exercise its oversight responsibilities to actually investigate this, to tell us the truth, get to the bottom of it, and to hold those responsible accountable.
Yeah. I mean, it's the craziest, most reckless thing I've ever seen in 50 years of sort of paying attention. Tulsi Gabbard, thank you so much for continuing to call attention. It's just unbelievable. No one is paying attention.
It really is.
All right. That was commentary. It was a good report with Tucker Carlson, who is probably one of the hated dudes in America by the left. I like Tucker. I've liked him since Crossfire, but that's just me. I miss the bow ties. Okay, here we go. We are going to play another video, or not another video. We're going to pull up a story from Ukraine. They are going after Christians. That's not it. Okay. The Christian one's gone. So let's shift gears to Ukraine. Says Bakhmut battle is giving it an edge. This is from WION News out of India. Got a lot of folks listening in India on the audio podcast. And shout out to my Indian homies.
Now, Ukraine has decided to fight on in the ruined city of Bakhmut because the battle there is pinning down Russia's best units and is also degrading them ahead of a planned Ukrainian spring counteroffensive. Russia has made Bakhmut the main target of the winter push, involving hundreds of thousands of reservists and mercenaries. And our next report gets you more details about the ground situation in Bakhmut.
On Thursday, Russian blitz pummeled Ukraine as Russia's military launched the largest wave of missiles in one of the biggest strikes since the war began. But the epicenter of the war remains in Bakhmut. The fighting has intensified with another push by Russian forces to break through Ukrainian defense lines. War-weary howitzers camouflage, but yet throwing quite a punch as Ukrainian troops target the Russian forces.
It's hard to defend the Bakhmut stronghold because a lot of enemy forces are concentrated here. And also, the weather is not allowing us to use vehicles. It's too muddy.
You are going to feel better. They are going to administer painkillers and everything is going to be fine.
Just west of Bakhmut, shelling and missile strikes hit a Ukrainian-held city, damaging multiple homes and injuring civilians. Local police say Russian forces attacked the town with S-300 missiles and cluster munitions. Firefighters are breaking windows and extinguishing fire. Ukrainian firefighters in the Donetsk region are overwhelmed by recent Russian attacks on towns near Bakhmut. And it's not just fire. They are also having to be cautious as Russian troops continue to rain down fresh barrages.
Внимание всем! Воздух! Все аккуратно слушаем! Слушаем воздух!
The city of Bakhmut now lies in ruins. There is not a single building which has been spared.
I don't know if you've been watching these videos. I don't know if you've listened to the podcast, but I've said this phrase often: war is hell. Man, that looks like footage of World War II, man. Unreal. It really didn't have to happen. We could have stepped in. The United States could have stepped in. NATO could have stepped in. They could have stopped this. They didn't. They chose to allow it to happen. And now they want to, and then they fund it to keep it going. They'll tell you that, you know, the Ukrainians are going to win. Are they? Really? Keep that area in your that area of the country, of that world. Wow, I can't talk. Edit that. Make that a clip. Keep them in your prayers, folks, because so sad. All right, next story. We'll stay on this subject for a minute. War News 24/7. If you guys haven't checked this out, check it out. Type in War News 24/7 Greece. It'll pop up on your computer and then hit translate to English because it is a Greek website. Ugledar in flames. The Russians bomb everything that moves. Order of the Russian Minister of Defense, Sergey, for a final raid of the city. Look at this. Incendiary bombs. The countdown to the final raid of Russian forces on Ugledar began after a brief pause of a few days, fierce bombardments against Ukrainian positions began. Literally everything that moves is now bombarded. Man, this is the shock and awe that Russians provide in Ukraine right now. The Russians are not prepared to repeat the mistakes of the past. They neutralize the artillery and defense positions of the Ukrainians. The video shows the hell that prevails in Ugledar. Russian snipers, Lancet kamikaze drones, and the Russian Air Force are now operating in the area. The Russian pounding is a forerunner of new ground operations. The Russians prepare the final raid on the city. So here's some Twitter is amazing, folks, for all this stuff. If you're really interested, if you're not on Twitter, join it. Let's check some of this out.
Та нормально. Что красиво. Та пока не попало, пока не попало. Якщо що буде збивати.
That's just incendiary bombs, just
В курсі.
starting fires everywhere. It's unreal.
Да. Ну, я ж не думав, що це по трьом чувакам фосфор кинули. Блять, машину попало. Не нашу.
Нашу?
Ні.
Let's see, we got more here.
А, хватит. Ні, нормально, мимо. Ні, ти що? Я в курсі. Пронесло, вроді би всі цілі.
Sorry, guys.
Да. Ну, я ж не думав, що це по трьом чувакам фосфор кинули. Блять, машину попало. Не нашу.
All right, let's see here. Russian Lancet kamikaze drone destroys Ukrainian M777 howitzer in the Uglandar direction. I don't know. I've said it like 8 different ways, so you figure it out too. Truck, men, unreal. Whew. Here's another video. There's people inside there, folks. There's people inside there. Unreal. All right, that's enough of that. I'm not gonna keep playing that stuff. If you guys want to look at that, you can. I didn't watch all those videos before I went live here. Probably should have. I apologize. All right, let's look at Glenn Greenwald's post on Twitter not too long ago. Here it is. He's talking about an organization called the Institute for Strategic Dialogue. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's strategic. All right, Glenn. It's true. One of my examples in the video below of a fraudulent disinformation expert at Jared Holt left Atlantic Council. Folks, you need to look up the Atlantic Council if you don't know who they are. They're an interesting group. A few months ago for ISD Global. This is something new. They're even worse, funded by virtually dozens of U.S. Western intelligence agencies, big tech, and liberal billionaires. And he's highlighted Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Open Society Foundations. If you don't know who the Open Society Foundations are, look those up as well. Hey, you get homework here on Truman's Town Hall's live videos on YouTube and Rumble and Twitter. Open Society Foundations is a George Soros arm. Interesting. United States Institute for Peace. Oh, really? That was another one down there. Oh, brother. So, all right, let's have some fun before we leave tonight. Let me go over to the next article. I said something about Cocaine Cat earlier. Well, it's made its way to Ohio, the Cocaine Cat. You got Cocaine Bear at the movies, which I was sitting at a restaurant tonight called Bob Evans. It's an Ohio restaurant. Farm, down home cooking, right? I had the Farmer's Choice. That's what I had. 2 eggs over easy, bacon, hash browns. Good. Anyway, and I asked the kids, I said, hey, you guys want to go see a movie tonight? They were like, yeah, let's go see Cocaine Bear. I'm like, no, we're not. We're not going to see Cocaine Bear, but we can go to the Cincinnati Zoo and look at Cocaine Cat, because now Cocaine Cat's at the Cincinnati Zoo. Cocaine Cat, escaped owner, will now live at Cincinnati Zoo. It's a serval. Remember, if you watch the documentary Tiger King, they had servals. Carol Baskin had servals. An African serval cat that was found with cocaine in its system after an escape at a traffic stop now calls the Cincinnati Zoo home. Much to the delight of social media, users still amused by the recent release of the movie Cocaine Bear. The Wildcat story has trended online, where users relish in the absurdity of the horror comedy, which riffs off the true story of a 175-pound black bear that was found dead near a duffel bag and some $2 million worth of cocaine. Social media users have predictably dubbed the serval Cocaine Cat. There it is. Oh, look at Cocaine Cat. Cincinnati Zoo, go visit Cocaine Cat at your earliest convenience. All right, last article of the night. Then we're gonna bounce. Last article of the night. Here we go. It's an interesting one, I think. Not as funny as Cocaine Cat, but there it is from Deadline. Oscars seeking to eschew politics, partisanship in favor of old school escapism. Well, would you look at that? You start talking all that crazy woke left-wing politics and down goes ratings. Now they want to get rid of them, so people start watching again. Let's see here. America may be deeply divided, but politics and the culture wars will not be center stage at this year's Oscars if the organizers have their way. We're not interested in distractions or partisan debate. We're interested in Tom Cruise. A 95th Academy Awards ceremony insider says of this weekend's superstar and block. I had no idea that the Oscars were on this weekend. Wow, when's this story written? March today at 7 in the morning. The Oscars are on this weekend. I had no idea. I really didn't. And you probably didn't either, because nobody cares about the Oscars. We want to embrace the diversity of talent and nominees this year, and we want to try to go back to the days of escapism. An AMPAS source adds of the dual ethos of the 2023 Jimmy Kimmel hosted. Yeah, come on. If Kimmel's hosting, we're done. Nobody's going to watch that. How did Adam Carolla, right? How did Adam Carolla and Jimmy Kimmel, they rose together, and then they kind of went separate ways. Jimmy Kimmel's way left. Adam isn't way right. I think he's a centrist, right? I think I'm a centrist, and people, Matt, you're a far right guy. Nuts, dude, nuts. All right, let's read a little bit more here. Escapism may be a hard sell with Netflix's anti-war film All Quiet on the Western Front on the ballot for Best Picture and other categories, but the Ricky Kirshner and Glenn Weiss produced broadcast is aiming to stay primarily politically agnostic and controversial free, we hear. Do you guys really think that Jimmy Kimmel's going to stay away from all that? I don't know. I don't know, folks. Anyway, there's that. I'm Matt Truman. This is Truman's Town Hall. I appreciate you watching. I really do. Tomorrow, as you see on the scroll down there, Doc and Rooster Sunday Night Live every Sunday at 9:45 p.m. on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and wherever you download your podcast. We're going to be live tomorrow night at 9:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'm just going to tell you this. Whoops, I dropped it. But I have made notes, folks. I have made notes. They're upside down, but I have made notes. Messing the whole thing up here for tomorrow night's broadcast because I'm a Catholic dude, right? And we talk about God, religion, and things like that. We talk about things you're not supposed to talk about here. But tomorrow night, I'm going to take on these Protestants. I got some notes. I got some stuff here, right? So tune in to that while I break this down. We have a great time. Nobody hates on each other. Protestant, Catholic. Wow. They can actually have conversations. I think that's pretty good. I think it's pretty good. Nobody gets mad. Nobody gets angry or cries. Nope. Hey, also, if you want to be on that, we'll send you a code. You jump in and say, hey, you're an idiot for even believing in God. I don't care. Atheists are welcome. Muslims, Jews, Buddhists, whatever. You're welcome. We'll send you a code. Just type in, hey, send me a code. Whatever. I don't know. We'll have to figure out how to send a code. I'll post it up there and you guys can jump in if you want. If not, no big deal. Thanks for watching tonight, guys. I'll talk to you tomorrow. So until tomorrow.